For decades, we've kind of thought about energy efficiency as, saving a few bucks on our utility bills. But what if that's completely missing the point? Today, we're going to dig into how the simple idea of just using less energy has become a really powerful tool in the high-stakes game of global security.
I mean, think about that. It's a pretty radical question, right? But it's one that governments and even military strategists are now taking very, very seriously. The energy we save, the demand we reduce, this is what people are now calling the first fuel. Why? Because it's the cheapest, the cleanest, and honestly, the most secure energy resource we have. And believe me, it is changing everything.
The wake-up call was, well, it was severe. When energy supplies were used as a political weapon back in 2022, it exposed this massive vulnerability for any nation that relies on imported fossil fuels. All of a sudden, energy wasn't just an economic issue, it was a matter of national sovereignty.
And the economic cost is just staggering. This number right here is what the European Union is projected to spend on energy imports for 2024 alone. That is a massive transfer of wealth that really just hammers home the price of dependency. Every single dollar, every euro spent on foreign energy is one that isn't being invested back home in things like healthcare or education or infrastructure.
So, you can see how this crisis really triggered a fundamental shift in thinking. Okay, so let's dive into this revolution. The moment energy efficiency went from being a household chore to a cornerstone of national strategy. Right, so the old view was all small scale, wasn't it? Save a little money, change a light bulb, make an individual choice. The new reality, though, is strategic. It's a national security tool, it's a system-wide strategy, and it's a huge driver of economic competitiveness. We've literally moved from the basement boiler room to the cabinet war room.
And this isn't just a theory, this is real. In June of 2025, leaders from almost 50 countries explicitly made this connection. Their joint statement wasn't just diplomatic fluff, it was a global consensus that efficiency is now absolutely central to safeguarding their nations.
So what's the evidence? Where's the proof? Let's look at security's silent partner, the hard numbers that prove just how powerful this first fuel really is.
This is a really crucial point. According to the International Energy Agency, just the efficiency gains we've made since the year 2000 have already cut the need for fossil fuel imports in major economies by a full 20%. I mean, think about that. That's 1/5 of a massive security risk just gone, erased through smarter energy use.
Okay, now this is where the story gets really interesting. When Europe was in the absolute depths of that energy crisis, what was the single biggest thing that helped save natural gas? It wasn't warmer weather or other things like that, no. As this new IEA data shows, a stunning 2/3 of the savings came directly from energy efficiency measures. It was, without a doubt, the MVP in that crisis. And this just brilliantly illustrates the economic upside. Beyond security, efficiency is a massive boost for competitiveness. Today, our industries produce 20% more economic value for every single unit of energy they use compared to 2 decades ago. So we're not just safer, we're also way more productive. One of the most powerful tools in this new strategy is something called demand response. Just think of it as a smart, flexible grid. So instead of building these huge, expensive power plants that only run a few hours a year, we actually empower consumers to help balance the grid. This could be something simple, like your smart thermostat automatically adjusting by a degree or two during peak demand, or maybe your EV charger waiting until prices are lower overnight to power up.
And you know what? It actually works. In 2022, California was right on the verge of a disaster. A record heat wave was about to completely collapse the power grid. But instead of cascading blackouts, a simple text alert went out just asking people to conserve energy. The response was immediate. A 5% drop in demand that stabilized the grid and kept the lights on for millions. That right there is the power of collective, efficient action.
All right, so let's move to the global stage and see how this all builds up. Because this isn't just a few isolated success stories. It's a coordinated global policy push. Just look at this momentum. In this single year of 2025, governments around the world rolled out over 250 new or updated policies on energy efficiency. As this chart from the IEA shows, from Europe to the Asia-Pacific, leaders are putting real legal and financial muscle behind this strategic shift. It's happening everywhere.
But all this momentum, all these amazing policies, and all this new technology, it's all running straight into a wall. There's a really critical challenge that threatens to slow this entire revolution down.
And the barrier isn't what you might think. It's not a lack of funding, it's not a lack of technology, it's a shortage of people. An IEA survey found that the #1 obstacle is a lack of workers with the right skills. The electricians we need to install heat pumps, the technicians who can upgrade building insulation, the engineers who can design smarter energy systems.
So the big question is, how do we overcome this and unlock the full potential of efficiency, our first fuel? Well, it requires a clear, strategic plan. So here are the 5 keys that experts have identified. First, strengthen policies and make high standards mandatory, not optional. Second, close the gaps. A lot of policies still neglect the massive potential sitting in the industrial sector. Third, and this one is so crucial, invest in skills to build that workforce we just talked about. Fourth, drive the electrification of everything from heating to transport with efficient tech like heat pumps. And finally, number 5, promote digitalization, using data and AI to optimize energy use on a massive scale.
And that brings us right back to our big question. As the world redefines what power and security even mean, the evidence suggests a profound shift is underway. Maybe the ultimate source of strength isn't just about having more supply, but about having the wisdom and the strategy to master demand. The real power might just be in the art of using less.